It's been a year since my review about DJI Ronin came out, and many of you guys asked me if it is still worth to buy it because, as you know, to get the best possible effect, you need some modifications. They are not big and complicated, and you can find many of these ideas on the internet. On the other hand, if you don't want or don't have time for modifications and want to buy a ready-made product, a few weeks ago Vaxis Movmax introduced its latest product, Mini Arm, which was designed for smaller cameras and gimbals exactly like DJI Ronin. It is much more expensive, but there are also a lot of differences, and based on the reviews I've read, all the problems that you can find in DJI Ronin have been improved. So let's see if it is worth twice the price. You can buy Mini Arm in two versions, Standard and Pro Kit. The only difference is that in the Pro Kit you get the wall mounting system, while the Standard Kit can be mounted only with a clamp. So if you have your car rigid with some sort of 50mm tube construction, then the Standard is right for you. But let's take a closer look to the Pro version. For about $4,000 you get 4 suction cups, 5 double-sided dovetail baseplate, Mini Arm, inflator, V-mount and sliding plate, safety strap, D-tap extension cable, power cable, and of course star vibration isolator. You get 4 identical suction cups. What I like about them is that they have an option to adjust the distance between the mounting surface and the baseplate, which gives you more flexibility and mounting options. In my opinion, a great and very clever feature. For those who want to explore the suction cups from the professional side, I recommend again a great series of tutorials on car rigging on Cinemillet channel. Safety alert. Don't ignore this, this is extremely important for the safety of the people around you. Suction cups do not like dust, wet surface or low temperatures. If you want to use the window as a support point, then absolutely okay, but never ever attach the wall system to just one piece of glass. Always, without exception, secure the entire mounting system with the safety strap, no matter if you use 2, 3 or 4 suction cups. This is extremely important. 5 different sized elements that I believe was designed in collaboration with DJI can be connected in any configuration depending on where in the car you want the camera. The basic idea is the same as in the case of classic DJI baseplate. The difference is that here you can use up to 4 mounting points, and what's more, the adjustment of each suction cups and the height of the camera with a specially designed sliding plate connectors is much more precise. And here it is time for the main part. Absolutely beautiful and perfectly designed arm. However, something that makes it unique from other arms is the fact that it has no spring. The standard steel spring used in this type of arms was replaced here with a special air pressure shock absorber. Is such an innovation a good idea? It's hard to say. The nice thing about an air spring is that it has a different kind of bounce performance, which means that the arm does not need a damper or some sort of brake for the more challenging road, because it does not bounce as much as a regular steel spring, and because of that, the shock absorption seems to be a bit better and smoother. However, this solution also has downsides. The first one is certainly charging the pressure. You do it with an inflator and it is absolutely okay, but if you lose it or forget to take it with you when you are on a film set somewhere far from civilization, it can be a big problem. In standard arms, you adjust the spring force with a knob and you don't need any other tools. Besides, in traditional arms, strength and size of the spring is carefully selected to keep the right safety factor and the right relation between power and durability. And it is almost impossible for a steel spring to break even in case of some kind of mechanical damage because it is pure steel. But here, it is a little more difficult for me to trust because in the back of my mind I have the thought that there may always be a risk of breaking some element and then the pressure holding the arm will just suddenly disappear. Hopefully this will never happen, but I remind you once again to stay absolutely safe. Don't be afraid to take risks, but be prepared for even the worst possible situations. Now, in the standard version the arm is mounted with a 50mm clamp. And in the Pro Kit there is a sliding plate on the arm which allows you to put the arm very securely, quickly and safely in any position. Also, thanks to this type of mounting, you can change the position of the whole arm in any time without having to remove it. Just unscrew, release the safety pin and changing the position. The mini arm is ready for action, time for the superstar. For me, this is the greatest improvement and upgrade over any other stabilizer on the market. Technically, this vibration isolator should be perfect because it is designed to handle any type of movement. By the way, in general, this whole star vibro isolator is very similar to my DIY version that I made last year, except that it is obviously more professional. All forces and dynamic movements that are generated during fast driving, dynamic turns or quick braking are absorbed by a special joint, which in addition on the top side has a built-in small hydraulic cylinders, which works as a kind of brake or small dampers, so that the movement is smooth and the gimbal does not swing around like crazy. What's more, all kinds of high-frequency micro vibrations generated by the engine or by the car itself are eliminated by silicone rubbers, which are placed in a special drums, which are designed so that the weight of the gimbal and camera is placed on them like on a pillow. By default, the baseplate for RS2 is mounted on it, but there is absolutely no problem to put any other gimbal here. Just unscrew the connector and replace the baseplate. The only limitation is not the type of gimbal but the weight of the whole setup. Here the maximum weight of the equipment you can put in is 6.6 kilograms. I was testing maximum load capacity with a Ronin 4D, which with a Vespid Prime and counterweight is about 6.5 kilograms, and everything's worked perfectly without any problems. In the kit you get a very functional battery mount that you can attach almost anywhere on the whole rig. What is also very clever is that besides the mount, you get an extension cable and a D-tap splitter which allow you to power other accessories. I will not cover each type of installation because it depends on the car you have, but I'm absolutely sure that it can be mounted on any type of car body. However, once again I remind you about safety. You must be absolutely sure that everything is secured and there is no chance that something will just fall off the car. This will be extremely dangerous for the people around you, so be sure to check twice. If you are not sure about something, then check it again. Always, without exceptions, use a safety strap or even 2 or 3 to secure everything. Every car has a plenty of great points that you can use as a very solid safety point. I also recommend getting a kind of safety steel rope to protect the gimbal and the camera. It is too bad that it is not included in the set, but in my opinion, without such a safety wire, you should not go on the road. Keep in mind that the force generated by a moving car are much higher than those generated by a handheld, so don't ignore other people's experiences. I wanted to use 2 configurations for testing. The first one is a Pocket 4K, series 35mm and a Ronin RS2. The control and monitor is a combination of the Tilta ring grip handle mounted to the Axon power cage of the iPad 11 Pro and the Raven Eye video transmitter, which is basically one of the simplest possible ways to make this shot. The second option is a Ronin 4D with a Vespid Prime lens, control and preview, of course, by using the original wireless monitor. Many of you are probably wondering why I used Ronin 4D for testing the stabilization arm, because Ronin 4D already has its own stabilizing arm. So I will explain it to you in a moment, but let's go back to Ronin RS2. The problem that almost every Tilta Alien user had to deal with was the vibration isolator, which was too stiff. Here the situation is actually quite different because the Star Vibro Isolator is really phenomenal, but that doesn't mean the Ronin is now a plug-and-play unit. You need to take a few moments to choose the right settings. If you are doing autotune, then Ronin sets the power of the motors according to the workload, and no matter which mode you use, the effects are not always satisfying. Remember that there are also wind, speed and acceleration factors. That is why I usually increase the power of those values set by RS2 itself about 20% and reduce the strength of the motors. The result is less vibration and smoother shots. Of course, it also depends on the focal length of the lens you are using, but be prepared for the fact that you need to make some test shots and perhaps correct some settings of the gimbal. However, if we are talking about a plug-and-play solution, then I want to show you what it looks like with the Ronin 4D. All you have to do is mount it, secure it, and that's it. Turn on the wireless monitor and your entire setup is absolutely ready to shoot. And the dual stabilization means you don't even need a test shot because every shot is usable. This is truly a perfect setup. Of course, the Ronin 4D has a much easier job with stabilization than RS2 because it doesn't have to stabilize the whole camera but only the lens, and besides it has a dual motor in the tilt axis and it is really powerful, so wind speed is not a challenge even at extremely high speeds. This allows me to use lenses like the Vespeed Prime without any problems. What's more, taking such shots is much more comfortable and easier, and the only time I have to leave the car is to change the battery or lens. Everything else I can do remotely. With screen mirroring, absolutely all the settings can be managed from the monitor. ND filters, aperture, focus, stop-start recording, sensor selection, frame rate, absolutely everything. It saves me a really huge amount of time. I absolutely love it. When it comes to the performance of the arm itself, it's hard to compare because the principle of operation is almost identical to a traditional spring arm. As I said, I'm not totally sure about the air spring because I don't know how safe it is, what kind of strength and durability reserve it has. So I need some more time to play with it and test it in some more challenging circumstances, but as I said, for me personally, the biggest surprise is how good a star vibration isolator is. I have no doubt that it is the best such device you can buy in this payload range. But here comes the question, if it is really worth the price. Almost $4,000 is twice as much as Delta Alien, so in theory we should expect that everything is twice as good. The whole rig mount is certainly bigger, but I don't know if it is better. For me personally, the Alien arm mount was all I need, but maybe that's because I got it much longer and I got used to it. The arm is innovative in some ways, but it certainly does not stabilize 2 times better than the traditional one. In my opinion, the most impressive part of the system is of course the star vibration isolator, and here it is definitely worth every cent. So I think it all depends on what kind of user you are. If you are looking for a budget version and use such amount only occasionally, once in a while, and have some DIY skills, then maybe you should go for the Delta Alien. However, if you want to take a lot of such shots, become a specialist in this type of work, and you want a fully ready-made product without need for modifications, then I think this is the equipment for you. But maybe a cool solution would be to sell the star vibration isolator itself with the options to mount on the Delta Alien arm. Who knows, maybe it would be a real sales hit. Vaxis think about it, and for now, thanks for your time, hope the video was helpful, as always thanks for so many cool comments under the last video, and see you in the next one.